Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So I can't wait to really just share something that I did the other day that I feel so far has been very impactful in changing my life. And I know as time goes on, it will be even more so. And it's something called timeline therapy. And it's funny because every time I mentioned it to a friend that I was going to have it done, they all said, I've heard about that. I really want to know how that works. How did it go? So we're going to talk about it today. She did all the work. I just answered the questions and did the visualization. And she is somebody that does that. Hypnotherapy is so many other modalities to help you heal from different things. And she is Dr. Cecilia Cervantes from myquantumheal.com. Cecilia, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
I am too, since we had our session, which was, 5 days ago, whatever. I guess we should start explaining how it went and really maybe back up what it's used for.
Very good. Yes, timeline therapy is actually a registered trademark that was developed by Ted James. And it was developed he discovered that you could get rid of negative emotions, limiting decisions, that you could travel your timeline and search out specific events that have impacted your life. So you can get to the root cause of certain issues. So over the weekend, we did the negative emotions. And we all have negative emotions that can plague us, can haunt us.
The 5, which were they?
Anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt.
See, I find it very interesting the way this went down was because I've done hypnotherapy before, which took me back to my childhood, which is pretty much the center for just about everything in our lives. Why we're dealing with certain things now, why things affect us in a certain way now can be traced right back to our childhood. But what made this different for me in hypnotherapy, which was all good, I looked at those events from a different standpoint. And as you had me I'll compare it to hypnotherapy. And that was with a different practitioner. When I went back there, I saw myself as a kid in a situation, not a specific one, just a situation, and basically confronted myself as a kid and reassured myself. And I thought it was very beneficial, very emotional. In this instance, I went back to times where I could first remember those different negative emotions, and we did them separately. Each emotion was a different travel back in time, but we looked at it from the emotion, the event. Most of them were when I was a kid, 2, 4, around there, from the beginning onward, then above, and then head on. And almost like picture a camera, looking at a TV show. We're looking at, from this way, now this way, then that way. It was really cool in that I got to see it in different ways. And how do you know it works? I feel it already has. I had some stuff go on a couple of days after we did that session, and I felt that I didn't react the same way in terms of, call it anger, call it emotion. It was more of like, yeah, all right, no problem. I'll deal with that. It's all right. It's all good. What do you hear from people when they have timeline therapy? Is it a progression? Takes time to realize those things are kind of washed out of you?
They start to realize how they respond in events that come up that used to make them react in a very negative way and maybe over the top. And they ask themselves, where did that come from? It came from the past, from a previous, you've been carrying this with you your whole life. We carry all these things with us. Our unconscious mind holds all our memories, it holds our emotions, and it stores it away until we're ready to deal with it and learn from it and then move on. That's the thing. So you end up with this baggage that you're carrying around all over the place. It's very heavy. After we do the process, you start to feel a sense of lightness,
Mm-hmm.
and you relax more and you respond more appropriately to stressful situations.
Yeah, it's not to say that after you do timeline therapy that you're never going to feel sadness, you're never going to feel anger. Those are normal, but you're not going to
Yeah.
feel them. And you hit it when you said over the top. You're not going to react like this. It's going to be like, okay, it's all good. I got it. I got this. I can navigate it. It's all good. But what's interesting in my learning of this is when you think back in your mind and you go back to the first time that you remember having whatever that emotion, that negative emotion is, all the events after that all go away. So if you go back to think, all right, let's say you were 2, 5, whatever, you experienced sadness. All the other events in your life moving forward that you think back to on a regular basis, you might think of, an event that happened 10 years ago and that's made me sad. It doesn't affect you the same exact way. You don't get that same feeling or that same angry feeling. It's almost like a purge from your system.
Exactly. You're detoxifying yourself.
Yeah.
And all those other things that occur where you react and respond in a bad way, they're just build up. And with this process, you learn what it is that you needed to learn from that event, because everything that happens to us in our life is a challenge, and we
Mhm.
need to learn from it in order to evolve. That is the point of that thing. It's not to punish you, or you're not a victim. You want to be at cause and you want to take responsibility for your life. That way you can be empowered.
But I think the key point here is when you remove the emotion, the negative emotion, what's left? The lesson. Now you can see it for what it was or should be. And then you have that clarity because now the emotions don't get in the way. It's almost like a curtain and you went, and then you see, haha, oh, that's what I was supposed to learn. Or that's what I should have learned from that. And now I'm not going to do that again. Or I'm going to react differently in the future to that now that I've pulled the curtain aside.
You've gained that learning at an unconscious level, because what we're doing in timeline therapy is conscious unconscious integration. You're becoming whole,
Hmm.
and you're learning what you need to learn, and it becomes innate in you at that point. So you don't even have to think about it, because now you have these learnings. So for instance, in your case, a lot of your learnings was getting that inner strength, and so now you have inner strength
Yeah.
and you operate from that place.
What was really interesting is when I did hypnotherapy, and there was nothing wrong with that, but it gets very personal. And sometimes you might not feel I was fine with the hypnotherapist in talking about a situation. No problem. Some people might not feel that comfortable. I had no idea how the timeline therapy was going to go when we did it. You never knew what I was thinking. You didn't know the situations, what think back to the first time you were sad, think back to the first time you were angry. You had no idea. I didn't have to talk about it. All I did was think it, visualize it, and you told me or showed me how to look at it from different angles, like we just mentioned. But that was it. And I feel it worked. And time will tell how well it worked even more so because when you confront those times, those situations again, which could bring you negative emotions. What are some of the other things that timeline therapy can help you out with?
It can help you out with limiting beliefs, limiting decisions, like I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or I can't. Those are beliefs. You know, when did you decide that you can't do that? Who told you? Where did you get that from? It's a belief that you can't do something, or you decide if you can or you can't. We all have options. We need to realize that. So
Mm.
limiting beliefs are a big one that we use timeline therapy for. We can use it for phobias as well, and for anxiety, and for creating our future.
Let's, before we talk about creating your future,
Yeah.
why did we do negative emotions? Was it because oftentimes those are connected to limiting beliefs? I feel in my situation, they are or were.
Yes, we want to do the negative emotions first. a lot of times when we've done the negative emotions, some of those limiting beliefs disappear because they're attached to the negative emotion.
Yeah.
And the negative emotions carry a lot of energy with them. So when we do the negative emotions, we're unloading a lot of space now. You have more room to do things. You have more energy. You feel the sense of lightness that comes over you. You
You know,
tell
it's
me.
almost like I agree. You know what as you were speaking, Cecilia, this is what I got a picture of. It's like on your computer, you cleared out the hard drive of all the files and the garbage that you're not really using anymore. They don't serve you. Why did I save that? I don't need that picture. It's not, I have a directory, I call it junk. So when I'm, when I throw a file somewhere, I feel there's like a 99.99% chance I'm not going to use it anymore. So I throw it in the junk folder. I need to get back to it, whatever. But all it's doing is just taking up space on the hard drive. So let me just basically get rid of all that junk in that folder. And now I have a lot more space. Now my computer runs better because it's more efficient. It has more space to write new programs or new files, whatever it might be. So that's kind of I feel like I have a new hard drive. If
That's
that
a
makes
great
sense.
metaphor. That's a great metaphor because that's exactly what's happening. And our brains and our minds are like a computer.
Hmm.
We need to make space. So we're not going back to that old garbage again and
Yeah.
again and again, revisiting, learn from it, move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do. We don't even realize that we're doing it every time we go back to that situation when you were 5 years old and you reacted in a sad way, as you probably should have, because something made you sad, but then it sticks with you. And then now you're 25, now you're 45, and you're still dealing with this. You're reacting the same way, but you don't need to, nor should you, because it's typically a different situation anyway. All right. So, timeline therapy for success, I think you said.
For creating your future,
Okay.
creating what you want in your life. So in the sessions that we did, we had to go into the past. Well, you can set goals in your future.
Hmm. How do we do that? How does that look? Is it the same?
Yeah.
For me, my timeline looks like this in front of me. And that was my past, that's my present, and that's my future. Is it that you fast forward into the future and do you say,
Yes.
instead of go back to the first memory of sadness, do you go back, do you say, all right, now we're going to move into the future, go forward to the moment where you think that you attain, let's say you're a salesperson and you nail that big account or whatever it is. When is it going to be? How is it going to happen? Do you visualize it? That's where I'm going. I'm trying to get that picture.
Exactly. What we're going to do is, remember the show where we talked about SMART goals?
Sure.
We're going to write a SMART goal.
Hmm.
We're going to make it very specific, simple, measurable, meaningful, as if it's happening now in all areas of life, realistic, all of that, and time. So we put a time on it. So if you want a specific goal, you put the date that you want it to happen,
Hmm.
the date. And then you're going to visualize it. Yes, you're going to use all your senses to visualize it and to feel it, to see it, to hear it, whatever it is that you're wanting to achieve.
Hmm.
And we're gonna take it and we're gonna carry it into the future and we're gonna drop it there
On your timeline.
on the timeline on that specific date.
Is this similar to visualizations or manifestations where you have a goal? I always use the fancy red sports car where you picture it driving in it, you smell the leather, that feeling of wow, I got a new car. I feel pretty good about myself. I've gone up a certain level here because it was kind of expensive. Um, People looking at you passing them, you got the T-tops off, riding down by the beach, whatever it might be. Is it kind of the same way, but it's more of
Yes,
a instead of visualizing it, it's almost like you're stamping it into your future.
exactly. You are stamping it and locking it into your future, and you're using all your visual acuity to create it. You're
Hmm.
feeling it, you're seeing yourself, you're hearing people say things to you. You're in that moment as if now.
Wow.
as if you already have it. And you also want to know what's going to convince you that it's happened. So you do all these things and you lock it into your future. And we do that process. We have a script for that, and we take you through
Okay.
it and we put it in there. And after a while, you start to create things a little more easily. It becomes very, very
Natural.
familiar and natural
Mm,
to you.
mm.
And this is how
Is
you create your future, by focusing on what you want.
specifically.
Specifically, what you want, not any of the negative stuff, not on what you don't want. You don't want that because you'll
Mm,
create it.
mm.
Once you start manifesting, your thoughts, your words, your feelings can manifest very quickly because they do. You got to clean up your act. You got to clean up that cache, right?
Yeah. It's basically like we talked about, clearing out the hard drive. You're writing an executable computer program for your brain. And once you're done with that visualization, if you deal in the world of Windows on your computer, it's, a .exe program. Now you've got it. And when you're done, press start and let it start executing. Sometimes programs take a little time to load, so it may take some time to get there on your timeline. Again, it's wherever you put it on your timeline. It could be, yeah, I'm going to have that job, that job at that great company with that great boss with that great salary. I'm looking at it, and realistically, in about a year and a half. How do you do that in terms of being realistic? So let's say somebody just says, "Yeah, I want that. And I want that in 6 months. I'm going to put that on my timeline 6 months from right now." What if it's not really that realistic?
Well, you want it to be realistic. If for a certain job, you have to have certain skills and you have to take action also.
Of
This is
course.
not about you just sitting. This is not magic in a sense. It's not like it's going to just poof appear. You
Mm,
don't have a genie in a bottle. You take action. It has to be realistic and achievable. So that's how you create a SMART goal. And also, once you do this, you have to let go of form.
how
What
do you
does
mean?
that what does that mean? Yes.
Hmm.
Let go of form, because you could end up getting that perfect job. It may not be that specific job you wanted. Be
Oh,
open, be flexible to what comes. Be
hmm.
aware. It may, people will say, I want this particular person in my life.
Right.
It may not be that person. That person may not be meant for you, but the right person will come, the one that you describe, but it may be a different person.
I
Let
totally
go
got
of
it.
form. Let go of
Yeah.
form.
So looking for, that perfect person, you may visualize she's got brown hair, she's got brown eyes, beautiful smile. I look at her smile, it just makes me feel happy. I hear her voice. I'm fantastic. I'm proud to be with her. I want to do things with her, have a wonderful time with her. You know, I'd like her to be around 5'4", she could be 5'2", whatever. She may come along and let's say you're 5'7", she may be 5'8", but she may be perfect. So be open to it. Ryan Seacrest is dating somebody right now that's like 2 inches taller. She's a supermodel. I don't think he's complaining,
No, he's good.
right?
He's good with
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I think he's good with that. Otherwise, he wouldn't be hanging with her. So, yeah, just be open to it. Like you said, that job may not be exactly right. You may say, "I want that job, and it's got to be within 5 miles of my house." Well, it might be 12, but everything else is perfect. So then you got to be open to it. Wow.
Flexibility is important.
Mm.
Flexibility gives you more options. Learn to be flexible.
Is this almost like a blueprint of your life? Yeah, you're not going to build a house unless you have a blueprint.
Mhm.
So it's all, it's all there, starting with the foundation and go on and on. It's got kind of what it is.
Exactly what it is. And as
Hmm.
we build the foundation, this is why we do this process. We do the clean out work first, and then we put in uh, what we want in that breakthrough process, so that we get rid of all the negative emotions, limiting beliefs, anything that could be an obstacle to getting what you want, to creating your life, to creating your future. This is a personal development uh, technique. Really, you're developing yourself, and then you're creating your life as you go along. You always want to be positive
Hmm.
and be at cause. Take responsibility for everything that happens. Be open.
Now, when we talk about we did timeline therapy for negative emotions. Do we call this one the future one? What do we call it? What's the name of that timeline?
Well, we call that creating what you want.
Okay. So when you work with somebody like you work with me on the negative emotions, is it how many different things can you do? Like we worked on five different negative emotions. Is there a number typically when you work with somebody on the future, a number of things that we're looking for?
Oh, to create the future, you mean?
Hmm.
Well, we're going to do the SMART goals for sure,
Okay.
and then um, we're going to do the SMART goals, and then we're going to take action.
But the number of things that we look at for the future success ones, is there, every session can't last for 6 hours. So is there
No.
a guideline? All right, we're going to identify five things that you want, positive things you want in your life. Maybe a partner. Maybe it's a job. What else is it going to be? Oh, well, my health. Okay, we're going to work on that. Would it typically be five?
No, no, it wasn't typically be five. It'd be what you want. So you want to
I want
create goals.
everything, Cecilia. I
Yeah,
want it all.
you want to create it then you can create goals in all different areas of life, in career, in family, in spirituality, in personal development, in finances, and whatever. So you're being a little more specific. What area of life do you want a goal in? And you can create a goal. You can create goals for uh, 3 months from now, and then one for 6 months, and one for a year, and then 5 years and 10 years. Where do you want to be in 10 years? Who do you want
Hmm.
to be in 10 years? How do you want to be in 10 years?
Yeah, this is cool stuff. It
You're
really is.
planning your life.
Yeah.
You directly are planning your life, and therefore you are empowered because you're taking control and you're directing. You are the captain of the ship, and you are steering it in the direction you want to go in.
And yes, you can write this stuff down and follow your list of things to do or list of goals, but this is implanting it in your mind to make sure that you follow through. Because a lot of us, New Year's resolutions. Imagine if every January 1st, Cecilia, we did a timeline therapy for what we want in the upcoming year. I'm just saying hypothetically if that was even possible. How many people would follow through with their resolutions, unlike many that just derail after 2 or 3 weeks?
If you really want it, you want it badly, and you set it into your future and you take action, you can do it. It can happen. It does happen. It has happened. I've created goals for all sorts of things, for outcomes on certain situations. This is what I want. And I focus on it because what you focus on comes about. What you think about comes about.
Mm-hmm.
And you've
Yeah,
you've probably noticed this in your life. So you don't want to be thinking about negative stuff because
because you'll get it.
because you'll create it.
I think I shared this with you. Things that I used to say, even over the past 12 years, I'm trying to think back to those things, those phrases, those thoughts that I would have or would come out, or I'd share them with somebody else. They all came true and they weren't good. They were
Right, right.
negative. I was in a more negative spot. Not like horribly negative, but there were certain things I would say that just wasn't negative language, and they came true. It's amazing what you like. It goes back to what your parents used to say or you used to hear. Careful what you ask for. It's the truth. You get it.
Yeah.
You really do.
Your thoughts, your feelings, your words create your world.
Yeah.
Be careful what you say. Don't say self-deprecating things about yourself. It's not good.
Yeah.
You're programming yourself for negativity. Put in a good program, an excellent program.
Hey, it's okay every once in a while to joke about yourself for fun. I believe, just joking with a friend or whatever, but those things that you keep saying to yourself, like, "Oh, I'm overweight. It's like impossible for me to lose weight. Ha ha." it's going around in your mind or you're
Yeah,
saying it,
right.
and you will have trouble losing weight.
That becomes a belief. And
I
so
believe.
your unconscious mind says, I guess we're not losing weight. You know, that's how
Hmm.
it works. You are programming yourself. So when I say something that I don't want to happen and I catch myself, because sometimes, it becomes
Sure.
automatic, I say, oh, delete that.
Hmm.
We don't want that. Delete
Yep.
it. Just like a computer, delete it
Yep. Immediately. And it's
immediately.
amazing how when you get into that mindset, you react faster when those things come out. And I found myself in the last year getting in a better mindset uh, of quick to judge or quick to react to something. Driving down the road, somebody cuts you off. Well, go back 5 years. I'll be like, what the what are you? Blah, 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 blah. Now it's just like, yeah, no problem. Yeah. You don't know what they're going through. Let them go. Yeah. What happened? They cut you off. All right. Not the best thing. Nobody got
Yeah.
hurt. Just go. Go. You have a great day. you know,
Yeah.
you'll never see him again. For you to stew or let it marinate for the next 30, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever it might be. What a waste. It's not helping, it's not serving you. Where are you getting with that? Nowhere.
That doesn't help. And it doesn't help. We tend to not really forgive people. Forgiveness is important.
Mm,
True forgiveness. We hold
yeah.
on to those things and we have these grudges. Guess what? They eat away at us more than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yep.
Let
Without a doubt.
go. Let it go. Right?
Like we always say, you're giving that person your power. They don't really
Exactly.
care. They already did what
Hmm.
they did, and you have issues with it. So you're allowing them, you're letting them take over you, take control over
Yes.
you. It's
Yeah.
almost as if they're standing behind the scenes, pressing buttons to I mean, make them do that. You're allowing that to happen. Meanwhile, they're not. They don't even care. They've already moved on.
Yeah. Yeah. It affects you in the worst way possible. And stress and anxiety and these negative emotions affect your health, by the way.
Well,
They
yeah,
create inflammation in your body. They can create sickness.
it's the truth.
It's not good.
That's what we forget about. It's one thing to marinate and be upset or get angry over something, but you probably don't realize what it's doing to you on a cellular level. And I think we talked about this, and maybe I learned it from you that stuff doesn't just affect, let's say, your stomach, and you just got an uneasy feeling. It's everywhere. It's almost in every cell of your body. It's the reason why people use energy or Reiki heal their food, because when we talked about that, where let's say an animal might have gone through some stress before it went on the food chain. Why
Yes,
do you want to take that stress into your body?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
You're going to feel it for sure.
Well, I'm feeling the timeline therapy worked. I'm not just saying that, and I'm only 5 days into it. Uh, I'm waiting for those other things to pop up, but I do feel a more sense of calm. Um, and yeah, the more and more I think about it, it's like, yeah, all right, this is cool. I really think it worked. The only thing I ever think about is I hope I went back to the first time that I felt those emotions. That was the only thing, but I think I did. I really do.
Well, I remember during the process, I kept sending you further back
You did.
so
Yep.
that you
And
would get that first time, hopefully. This is why we keep testing and we do the process the way we do it, because you may not have gotten it right at first, but we send you further back.
yeah, and I
So we
got nothing.
capture it. Yeah.
When you took
So,
me back, I tried like, let me think, was I sad before that time? And again, this all goes back to childhood, I was 3 or whatever. What can I remember another time? I couldn't, and there was one time where one emotion I believe was around 7. Um, and maybe the ages, I'm off on the ages by a year or two, somewhere
yeah.
around there. But the image of that sadness and that feeling was there, but I couldn't go further back. So I think we nailed it. Um,
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And if anybody wants to heal from it, move their life forward, so impactful. MyQuantumHeal.com is your website. I had lots of questions. I'm sure if somebody does, you can address those. A free consult just to start the process.
Absolutely. 20-minute free consult. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know your stuff. You're a pro at what you do. I'm sure you could figure it out pretty darn fast and get it going.
Oh,
Yeah.
and this is work that I love to do also because it works so well. I finally figured out how can I help my patients and my clients move forward in their life and create a better future.
Yeah. Well, when we were doing it, you were so confident. It's like it's almost foolproof. You're like, yep, that's going to work, or that's going to work, and and your visualizations were spot on. I mean, it was one point where you had to take me up a little bit higher, looking down on something, and my timeline went meow, shortened it, and I was like, oh, okay, but real good stuff. MyQuantumHeal.com. Cecilia, thank you for that, and thanks for being here today. And looking forward next time we talk. Good stuff.
Great. My pleasure. Thank you, Steve.
I appreciate it. Coming right back. Hang on.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.